Here we go with another episode of Rethink Real Estate, and this is the July wrap-up. July has been a tough month. There's no question about that. Not from an income perspective or a volume perspective. It's just been a tough month from keeping deals together. I go through a little bit more of that detail. I give you some of the case studies that we've gone through. But again, listing numbers are definitely up at the moment. We have more auction listings than we've ever had right now. And obviously still conducting those auctions. I think the state number now is down to about 12 states that we're doing auctions in, but I'll take you through some insights here shortly. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Well, let's go through the July wrap-up for Harcourt's Auctions. Interesting month. A little bit of a synopsis to begin with is that it just has felt this month like, again, it's not the easiest month that we've ever had. There's no question. Coming off the back of a record month for us last month is that it just felt like all of the deals were just more difficult to put together. Now, it does come down to price points. We've got deals that we've done this month that have been from $10.7 million, one for 8.3. I'll give you some examples of all of those. But realistically is that even at I hands down have an opinion of anything over $5 million, there's always a curveball. Now, that's not only just with auction, that is with also traditional real estate, because as you can appreciate with our traditional real estate company as well, is that, I'm involved pretty much in anything over $5 million. And the reason that is on a traditional or an auction basis is that there's something that goes on at one point where an agent needs to ask me a question or whatever it may be. There's very rarely deals at those price points that are just smooth. It comes down to transferring of money. It comes down to fraud. There is a great deal of people that will go to the furthest extents, like to pretend that they've got the money and make offers on these properties and to decipher through this stuff. You may think it's easy and you can tell very quickly. I've gotten way better at it, but realistically, like anybody that says the word international money, immediately you know it's fraud. But anyway, long story short is that it's been a month where keeping things together has been the theme. There's no question about that. Auction has really played a part for us from a full disclosure at the very beginning perspective of getting all the deals done. All the inspections and reports and everything that would normally be done in the due diligence periods or the escrow periods or the under contract or the inspection period or whatever you call it, regardless of where you are, is that has just been one of those clear, evident things that people are going into situations thinking that they should buy the home and then rethinking and getting buyer's remorse. And the fallout rate from a traditional perspective across our organization, across the industry, is just absolutely skyrocketed. There's no question about that. So it is so imperative that it really tells the motivation of a buyer within a deal. Like there's leading comments that have been this month is, first of all, is that I don't want to be I don't want to be in competition to purchase. We want a good deal. That's been a leading comment this month. And then also, no, I still want the inspections. Even though you've presented them with inspections and reports, it's just a get out of jail free card that a lot of people are using. But let me give you some further examples of what we've had this month, just a few of the successes, and give you some of the case studies of those. This month, we've had, I'm going to say this wrong. I know I'm definitely going to say it wrong. So it's a property in Rancho Santa Fe, but Maddox Shripich and Stephanie Shripich are the listing agents on that property. Previously on the marketplace before for it was purchased in October of last year. Okay, it was purchased for $9 million. We were able to get $10.7 million for this property. This was in a pre-auction perspective where the offer was accepted. Again, you may or may think that that is, that's not a great result. Bidding to start from on it was $8 million. It sold for 10.7. Just to be clear, if it was purchased in October of last year for $9 million and then ultimately then we sell it for 10.7. And again, that was in a competitive situation, multiple offers that the seller bought it for at $9 million. It wasn't a steal. It wasn't them just, swooping in and getting a great deal. Anything that we get that amount of money more for is just, I believe, a pure testament to the auction process. Again, it was a great situation. We had, 7 or 8 offers on the property prior to auction day. really gave us an understanding of being able to leverage that situation, getting it done. A little bit of deferred maintenance with the property. It's a big property. Fire insurance is a very tough attribute of it. It was not an easy sale in any way, shape, or form, and is poised and has presented some real difficulties through the escrow process. But bringing that one all the way home, Maddox and Stephanie all the way to the finishing line, absolutely fantastic result. We had one in Vista, keeping it in the theme of California. That Vista was actually where we did our first ever auction. Tracy Moore was the listing agent. Brian Allele, the listing agent on this one. He bidding to start from at 1.1, sold for 1.3. This was a simple transaction. One of those ones that we did it from the very onset because we thought it was a bit of a difficult price point to comp out. So again, this is a really good testament of ultimately we got over the reserve price. Sorry, the reserve price on the property was 1.3. Bidding to start from was at 1.1, selling for $1,350,000. So again, it was a really good indication that Brian was going to list this property traditionally at $1,299,000. Now, there's an argument to be said that some people would have gone over that, but I don't believe that that is the case in today's climate. So again, this gave us an opportunity to negotiate up and without that ceiling, and really got a great result over the reserve price for the sellers as well. Now, another one in Newport, Oregon. Mark Jones and Taj Richardson, they are up there on the Oregon coast. Bidding to start from on this property was $750,000. Sellers non-disclosure reserve 1.1, getting $1.2 million for it. This is, again, one of those ones that was incredibly difficult to comp. It was a new listing to the marketplace. It hadn't been on the marketplace previously. $750,000 really gave us a pretty low bidding to start from, considering sellers' expectations at this price point. But it really attracted a lot of buyers from that didn't think that they could buy oceanfront. This was an oceanfront listing, beautiful property there in Portland, Oregon. In Newport, Oregon. But again, getting that over $100,000 result was just a testament again to the process of creating that negotiation up at that time. We actually didn't have a great deal of interest on this property. It was one buyer that came in, didn't want to go to auction day, and ultimately they negotiated up in order to stop it. They increased upon themselves, I believe, twice. I think the final number was. And a great result there as well. Now, Adrian Minero, this is I think this is a testament. We're going to go back to San Diego. San Diego has been a big performer for us in the month of July, but this property here was in Carlsbad. Adrian Minero is one of our auction pioneers down in San Diego and has been with us from the very beginning doing them down there. But this was a family member's home, her brother-in-law's house, and I find a great deal of pride when agents will use this process on their family members' property or on their own real estate. I've got several examples of when that happens. But again, this was a new listing to marketplace. It was difficult to understand where the comps sort of lied because the market was a little bit turbulent at this price point based on interest rates and everything along those lines. Bidding to start from at $1.2 million, selling over reserve price again for $1,460,000. So again, another really great result as it came to that one there in Carlsbad as well. Now, moving into some of the other areas, we had a property that recently that we took through escrow. It's still in escrow at the moment. It is closing. It closed just yesterday, and the date being today is the 29th of July. But that said, is that this property with Liberty Park Avenue in Menlo Park, Annie Watson, bidding to start from. This is a really big deal, this one. Bidding to start from came out at $3.5 million. We sold it for 5.1. I want to give you a bit more of a deeper insight to this property. Annie is a very prominent agent up in the Bay Area, Menlo Park, this property, Liberty Park Drive, as I said. Area where there's a lot of new builds at the moment that are going up and new construction. As you can appreciate, is that one of the things that the Bay Area has always been renowned for is volume of people through the door and then volume of offer. They had the property traditionally listed originally at $5.2 million. Okay. Now, they received, I believe, in excess of 15 offers all around the $4.5 million mark. There was a couple of outliers around 4.8. Now, the seller luckily stuck to his guns and said, look, I really believe that this property is worth more. It was a stunning property. But luckily he did, because what we ended up doing was converting it to auction using that leverage. And then one of them like, hey, look, I don't want to be in any more competition. I don't want to be emotionally driven up. So they went all the way. They put the offer in at 4.9, went to 5. Then we got them to 5.1. prior to auction day. It was a 14-day close, all cash, removed all contingencies. And again, that's a really good case study of when something has got really good interest, but you're not getting the result that you want, is that sometimes putting them in that transparent environment or that competitive environment, or using the word auction in that leverage point to attract even more interest, really can drive that element up. So big congratulations to Annie. Very proud of that result indeed locally. It's another one that I mentioned last month that we had that was just close by in Lucky Avenue. That was another tremendous result for that area, considering it had been on the marketplace previously. Another property in Arizona, Phoenix more specifically, up on the hill there, Lincoln Drive. Jorge is the listing agent on that one. This property here on the marketplace for a very long time previously. That market has really seen some struggles when it comes to volume of interest. It's still got that seasonal element to it in Phoenix where it's incredibly hot at the moment. So therefore, it is, that seasonal element of things that's sort of in reverse to most places. Is the summer months, people sort of get out of there. The real estate market isn't as active. This seller definitely needed to move the property on. There's no question. Wanted to see the marketplace right now, had a financial opportunity elsewhere that he didn't want to miss out on. But that said, didn't want to compromise from what he previously bought it for not so long ago. I believe it was middle of last year. So bidding to start from on this was 2.6 million. We sold it for 3,050,000. Didn't have any offers on it for 4 months. Limited showings. We tripled the volume of showings and got that done. But either way, guys, there's just a few examples. All in all, the numbers have been phenomenal from a listing perspective. There is no doubt that activity over the last month or over July has been lower than months previous. I think that the talk of interest rates decreasing has sort of put people on their heels. Also, the other thing, the volume of people that have been away. And I think I mentioned in the last month's wrap up, we have a huge volume of our sellers that are in Europe at the moment. So again, early morning conversations has been the theme of the month also. But all in all, guys, is that July, the theme of the month is definitely keeping deals together once we've gotten them to that point. And the only way that we've been able to keep those deals together and really lock them in is the lack of contingencies or the lack of terms on those deals when we're putting them together before auction or on auction day. We've got a couple of examples that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you that are closing in August that have had some really great live auction examples on those properties. And I'm looking forward to sharing those with you in the month of August because, again, I'm not going to share with you guys anything that hasn't closed yet because, again, that would be remiss. But that said is that we've had some incredible live auction results where the process has really steamed forward and looking forward to those properties closing. And the best thing that I can say is I can speak to them now because I know that there's a very, very, very high percentage chance of them closing because they sold through the auction contingencies where we removed them all. Either way, team, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the support that everybody has been giving us. We're seeing a great deal of interest come from the podcast and a lot of people reaching out with any listings that they have that are sort of sticking a little bit and need a little bit of help with them. Looking forward to working with so many of you more. But if there's anything that we can do for you, reach out. Thanks so much. So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.